Friends, it's T-Man, and I'm back with a new video on JasonBlaha. We're gonna do a video, man, a reaction video to the one and only JasonBlaha, Strength and Baloney Fitness. You know, the gym lifting, recruiting, fitness gear slave himself, Blaha. So Blaha says periodization doesn't improve your gains in the gym. It does. It does improve your gains in the gym. Okay. The whole basis of periodization is based on eccentric exercise. So I don't know what Bla's talking about, man. Yeah, anyway, okay.
Periodization is not useful. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I'm just going to flat say
How could he tell you it's not useful when it's based on eccentric exercise? I gotta check this, man, because I just saw this video and I popped something up on it. They talk about periodization, but, hold on a second. So when you look up AI, it'll tell you periodization is not solely based on either concentric or eccentric exercise, but rather can incorporate both depending on the training goals. Yeah, but with what? With a focus on often emphasizing the what? Oh, eccentric phase due to its potential for greater muscle damage and strength gains. Wow. It's greater potential for what? Muscle damage and strength gains, eccentric exercise. That's what periodization is used for when properly programmed and progressed, meaning a training plan can strategically vary the emphasis on each muscle contractions typed through different phases of training cycles. And they have all these, like, whatever. Tell you, there's like block periodization, undulating. I'm not into periodization. I'm simply a I'm simply a bodybuilder, which bodybuilders focus solely on eccentric exercises. Okay, dude? But whatever. Because we're looking for what? Oh, let's see. What does it say here? For greater muscle damage and strength gains. So size and strength gains, because that's what muscle damage is associated with. And he's going to say it's not. Blah says it's not.
this. A lot of people don't like to hear this, but it
Yeah.
is the reality, and I'm saying this as a coach and a coach who knows lots of other coaches who work with elite lifters, and something most of us realize.
He's a coach that doesn't know. He doesn't know. See, he can't admit to any of you that eccentric exercise is what builds muscles because he's stubborn. You understand me? He can't swallow his pride because once he does that, everything that he had talked about ever on his channel will be deemed bunk. You understand me? Be deemed garbage because he does concentric lifting. He's a concentric lifting slave, which doesn't build muscles and doesn't build strength. It doesn't build strength. It builds the nervous system, like a woman lifting up a car. You know, she lifts the car off her kid. The car fell on her kid. She lifts it. She has this temporary rise in what? This hormonal thing. What do you call it? When you're in stress, your body releases hormones and you can lift a car. You get it? So was it based on physical strength? No, it was based on chemical strength. You understand me? She had temporary chemical strength and she lifted that car. And that's what you guys are doing. This is based on chemical strength. Yeah. This isn't based on physical strength and moving this weight in the opposite direction. So think about it. When they inject more of these chemicals in their body, are they able to lift heavier in the opposite direction? Like Blaha? Yes, he is. But is he physically stronger? No, because he never built any muscle. Get it? Get it, man?
who've been doing this a very long time, there's no real evidence.
That's why their athletic performance sucks. That's why I showed that Larry Wheels video where a woman beat him, 160-pound woman beat him in arm wrestling because he's weak. Because his strength is chemical strength. It isn't based on physical, in the reality, in the real world, physical strength.
Periodization, as we think of it, actually really does anything. So the whole concept of periodization is...
It does. They focus mostly on eccentric, where they get the most damage to create the most strength. What is that damage associated with? Myofibrillar growth. That's where you get your strength. And it's used, because it's used in sports, to make you faster, stronger, strength, power, speed, and performance. That's the whole idea behind periodization. But a lot of coaches, a lot of people like Blaha, they don't know how to use it. They still don't understand the concept. They don't even like the damage part. So they sway away from it. So therefore, it isn't really periodization. If you're not utilizing the eccentric, it is not truly periodization. It's fake. Get it?
Breaking your training up into like sequential phases, whether it's linear, non-linear. The whole idea is oftentimes like 3-week blocks and often organized in a
yeah, those 3-week blocks and doing that linear or whatever, it's because it's the overtraining part. They don't want you to overtrain because they're focused on getting this damage and making you stronger. That's the whole point behind bodybuilding, is to get damaged and get stronger. Get bigger, get stronger.
Those cycles in which we rotate through things, and oftentimes it can be stuff like
this. Lifting just makes you weaker. That's why they want you to keep doing this, the government. They want you to be a heavy lifting slave, like this nervous system lifting slave, chemical lifting slave, because they know they can beat you up. They can take you in the street, the police and everybody. They can't take big, physically strong people. They got to bring more cops. But they see you. They don't see what you lift. They don't care. Keep lifting those heavy weights and be a small, strong guy. Then when they come, they jump you and they destroy you. You get destroyed, beat up.
Well, we do 3 weeks of...
Remember, cops aren't afraid of a small, strong guy. They're afraid of a big, strong guy. Get it?
12 reps, right? Then we'll go to 8, then 5s, then triples, and then we'll test a max, right? So it can be done over a course of 12 weeks, and then you restart this and go. Now, people will say things like, well, you know, that the Russians used a lot of that, and it...
Second largest U.S. bank to collapse.
It also broke a lot of really strong lifters.
The Russians used a lot of, eccentric exercise modes in their training. You wouldn't know that because you're not immersed in that world of bodybuilding. You're just pretend lifting in the gym like majority of people. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're shooting for. You just think, I lift the heavy weight and I'm gonna get it stronger. I'm gonna get it bigger. When in fact it's you get bigger, you get stronger. It's actually the opposite.
Because I would make the case that a lot of these big exercises you have no business.
In muscle damage, you can still be growing. Like you could get damaged today, like a heavy amount of damage, and even 10 days from now, you could still be building muscles within 10 days, up to 14 days. Hell, practically the entire month, you could still be building muscles just because of that one damaging session. You see what I mean? Providing you're eating enough properly, high nutrient diet, you can still be building. You could be in a phase where it's still building. So you don't necessarily need to come back that early to the gym. The whole basis is to build muscle, not to keep destroying yourself. That's the whole idea. See what I mean? And then you carry it over. Then bodybuilding is used to carry over to other sports. For example, if you want to become a fast runner, well, you're going to have to focus on eccentric exercises for your legs and somewhat your upper body. That's going to make you faster. Get it? See what I mean? And other physical sports like wrestling, fighting, I don't know, a whole bunch of things, arm wrestling, whatever, swimming. You want to focus on eccentric exercise. You get these type 2 muscle fibers, they make you stronger. See what I mean? They just make you super, super strong, like Superman.
doing the really high reps. It's not optimal, it's not ideal, particularly for any period of time.
Did you see his crappy concentric squat for 1 rep or whatever? Shit. Do you think this is going to cause some damage? Nothing going on there.
Time like that, like even 3 weeks. And by the same token, then accessory work would fall into the same thing. A lot of it's not suited for really low reps. So we start to question a lot of that. You know, there's a
He's puffy. He never grew any muscle, Blaha. He's puffy, but he has no myofibrillar growth because he never grew any.
reason a lot of coaches, and myself included, just like Louis Simmons, always said, yeah, the Western periodization just breaks people, right? It injures people. And he always had people mix everything every single week, right?
He doesn't, because they don't understand how to use it properly. He's like, it injured people. No, the whole point is not to injure you. It's used for rehabilitation. It's used for a bunch of things. It's used for not overtraining. They just don't know how to use it because concentric lifters can lift even twice a day. If you're a concentric lifter, you're adapted. There's no adaptations. You're getting nerve. Not, I'm not talking about physical adaptations. Those are very difficult to get based on eccentric. I'm talking about nervous system adaptations to these weights. You can come in twice a day and lift. Hell, you can come in all day and lift. Hell, some people lift in the factory concentrically 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day, in construction sites and fucking factories. Do they look like they're getting massively big, lifting concentrically all day? Hell no.
We weren't done in phases, and even though people will call it non-linear or they'll call it concurrent periodization, but it's not periodized, meaning he would break stuff up into 3 performance elements, and 2 of them are done every single workout, right? It usually was max effort and then repetition effort and then dynamic effort and repetition effort in the same day. In other words, if they did max lifts and then they did hypertrophy work, then they did speed work or dynamic work.
Max lifts and then they did hypertrophy work? What's hypertrophy work? What is that? What is he talking about?
Followed by hypertrophy work. And then GPP was often done.
What's a GPP? What's a hypertrophy work? What type of work is hypertrophy work? I don't see what I mean. He doesn't want to tell you. What's hypertrophy work? Eccentric. Eccentric would be hypertrophy work. But he doesn't tell you that. He just says hypertrophy work. Does hypertrophy make you stronger? If your muscles hypertrophy, I'm not talking about the sarcoplasm, I'm talking about muscles. If they hypertrophy, do they get stronger? How do they hypertrophy? How do they hypertrophy? If you just get mass, let's just say you get a buildup of these, fucking proteins and shit. Does that necessarily, does that make you like, is it solid that make you strong? Well, that too make you kind of strong. If you get more myofibrillars, that make you strong, yeah. I mean, I don't understand. Like, Blaha doesn't explain anything.
Done by his people almost every day, which is just your conditioning. So, look, and that could be done on the same days as those sometimes. So out of your 4 different pillars, sometimes all 3.
Conditioning just means you're conditioning yourself to be good at doing these things, that you're good at doing them. That's about it.
3 of the 4 would be done in a single day. And it was common, and it worked. Kind of dispels the idea. And what people need to remember, a lot of times stuff with periodization, people go, but I got stronger. It's like, think about it this way.
Of course they got stronger doing eccentric work there.
If you did 12 weeks of serious training, structured training with progressive overload, because that's what's happening in periodization.
Yeah, eccentric overload. That's the point. Okay.
Right, let's say you ran that 3-week block and the weight got slightly heavier with the same reps. Like let's say you're doing 10s or 12s or whatever. And it increases just slightly over the 3 weeks. Have you done sufficient volume to gain muscle? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
The next one, you did the same thing. You with a slight amount of progressive overload. Maybe you started with 8s with a couple reps in reserve, and by the end of the 3-week wave, you're pretty much at 8 rep maxes because you've been adding a small amount, whatever, 1% of weight per week. And then you repeat the same thing. All you're doing is following time and progressive overload. Are you also doing accessory work on this? Most people are like, yeah, I'm not just doing 3 exercises, not just squat, benching, and deadlifting. So at the end of the 12 weeks, you're like, but I got stronger. I tested my maxes and they were up. So let me get this straight. You did hypertrophy work, so let's set aside the periodization part. You did hypertrophy work with progressive overload and you got stronger. Of course, they didn't actualize the extra strength till they got to the...
There it goes with the hypertrophy work.
That even always true?
There you go with the hypertrophy work. Eccentric work is hypertrophy work. You could call it that.
That's not even always true, is it? A lot of times guys come in and set PRs without having done any really heavy work if they got a lot bigger, right? Your squat.
If they got a lot bigger, they can set PRs without, what, practicing or something? So how did they get bigger? And how did you set a PR? He's not telling you. You want to know what it is? Eccentric exercise. See what I mean? If you did eccentric exercise, which is part of periodization, and you got bigger, get it? So when you come back, you didn't have to practice. You can get a PR. That's what Blaha just admitted. But he doesn't tell you that it's based on eccentric. That's the part he keeps leaving out. He refers to it as hypertrophy work. He's tricking you. Listen, watch.
Even always true? That's not even always true, is it? A lot of times guys come in and set PRs without having done any really heavy work if they got a lot bigger.
See? They come and set PRs, you know what I mean? Coming in because they got bigger. See what I mean? Not lifting heavy. He says not lifting heavy weight. Well, he means not lifting heavy weight concentrically, but they're moving heavy weight eccentrically in the opposite direction. Can you understand what I'm trying to explain to you? That's why when you read periodization, they tell you it's associated with muscle damage and what? Strength. So if you get bigger, you get stronger. He just admitted to it. You get bigger, you get stronger. But if you get stronger on concentric, you do not get bigger. See what I mean?
Right? Your squat and your bench press are going to go up if you gain 5 pounds of muscle.
See? Your squat and bench press is going to go up if you gain 5 pounds of muscle. And how do you gain that? Eccentrically. You have to do eccentric exercises to gain muscle. If you don't do it, you will never build any muscle.
Even if you haven't maxed on. That's just reality. What I'm suggesting is that...
Yes, it's just reality. If you forego the eccentric exercise, you don't do eccentrics, then that's just reality. You'll be a small, weak guy.
A lot of the periodization is just voodoo to make the coaches look smarter. And the fact of the matter is, they have you training hard for 12 weeks. Well, you gained muscle.
Yeah, that's the whole point behind periodization. It's to make you train a certain way to build muscle. Yeah, eccentrically.
A lot of times, the periodization and the little programming trickery that coaches use is there to keep you distracted while they get you bigger.
It's to keep you distracted while they get you bigger. You know, I like Blaha. It's to distract you. Like, in other words, you're not doing concentric lifts where you're doing ego lifting, pretending you're, being a lifting slave or a performance slave and all that. So they distract you with eccentric exercises in the opposite direction. And then you realize you got bigger and stronger because in your head you think you're supposed to lift concentrically. That's what's going to make you big and strong. And in fact, it doesn't make you bigger and it doesn't make you stronger. It's based on chemical strength. It's artificial. It's artificial strength, but people don't realize that. And you have to keep maintaining that artificial strength. You have to come in often and be a lifting slave. You have to be a lifting slave to it.
And I don't think people understand 1 pound of muscle growth should be a measurable increase in strength.
Yeah, 1 pound of myofibrillar growth, which is pretty solid muscle, other than just getting mass. Getting myofibulars. They don't just disappear, bro. You don't have to maintain them. You don't have to keep lifting to maintain them. You know what I mean? Like, it's good to lift every so often to regenerate new muscle, but you don't have to really maintain them. They don't take a lot of maintenance.
You gain a full pound of true lean tissue of actual lean muscle spread through your whole body. Most of your lifts should go up measurably.
Yeah, but Blaha's lifts are not going up, and he's not gaining any muscle. He injects chemical strength to fake it, to pretend.
Believe me, think about noob gains. A lot of noobs, like when you really think of noob gains, you're only talking about 15 pounds of muscle, 20 pounds of muscle in the first year, right?
There's no such thing as noob gains. That's just fake. There's no such thing as new. He's making it up.
How much do your lifts go up with that? A lot of times people are like, well, I mean, I put 100, 120 pounds.
There's myonuclear domains. When you get this damage, you increase the MND size. The MND size increases. That's what happens. And then there's a limit as to how many nuclei are donated by that satellite cell in that session. That's all. You want more of it, you're going to have to repeat it.
Pounds on my squat and deadlift in that first year or more. Yeah. So all those lifts went up at least 5 pounds for every pound of muscle you gained or more.
I don't know that.
See where we're going with this?
No, I don't see where you're going with this. Where are you going?
So, of course, people are getting stronger during it, but it's not the periodization magic that's doing it. It's the fact that they are progressing.
Yeah, it's the eccentrics that are doing it. The eccentric exercises they're doing.
Massively overloading.
Yeah, they're massively overloading the eccentric exercise. That's the point.
Hypertrophy work and enough volume to grow, and usually doing additional hypertrophy work. So even if the coach has you programming something special on the deadlift, but they've got you doing, see where I'm about to go with this? Oh, we'll do this where we'll do 3 by 3, and then we'll build up to 5 by 3, and then we'll drop it down to every 3 weeks, right? 3 by 3, then 4 by 3, then 5 by 3. And then we'll go heavier. We'll drop it down 3 by 2, 4 by 2, 5 by 2. Then we'll drop it down to singles. You see where I'm going with some of this? And they're doing this for weeks and weeks on your deadlift. Then people go, but I got stronger. It worked. In the meantime, the coach had them doing sets of 8 to 10 on good mornings and doing some reverse hyperextensions and doing rows and pull-ups and maybe some high rep hamstring curls so that their glutes, their hamstrings, their hips all got bigger, their erectors, their lats, all that stuff got bigger over that 10 weeks.
But how did it get bigger, Blaha? If concentric exercises aren't making you bigger and isn't making anybody else bigger, what exercise makes you bigger? Oh, eccentric exercise. My gosh, what a thing. Oh man.
All those muscles involved in the deadlift got bigger over those 10 weeks through all this hypertrophy work while still maintaining.
Yes. Eccentric exercise. What a revelation, eh, my friends? Eccentric exercise is what gets you big and strong. Oh my gosh.
Weights in the 90% or possibly higher range, which is what you need for neural drive on the deadlift.
That's what you need for neural drive on the deadlift. You get a lot of neural drive when you get damaged. You create more neurals, more neurological neural drives. They get damaged and then they rebuild more of them, bigger and stronger.
So why do you get stronger? Because of the periodization, because you followed that little scheme that they distracted you with? Or did the
You got bigger and stronger because you did eccentric exercise. You got this damage that made you stronger, like it says there.
coach distract you with it while keeping you lifting heavy enough to maintain technique and improve neural drive, which you could have just done the 3x3 all the way through. You could have just left it right there and not done anything else. Done the same thing, no periodization, right?
Yeah, whatever. Undulating.
And then you got bigger.
And then you just did this exercise and boom, you just got bigger. He just got bigger because the coach had magic powers. He made eccentric exercise magically create muscles. It got bigger because he had you distracted. And then Blaha's mentally crazy. He had it distracted. And then you got bigger. But how did they get bigger? Because he had you do this, that, and the other thing. And then you got bigger, you got stronger. But he can't admit that what they had them actually do is eccentric exercise. That's what they had them do.
You got bigger. That's why your strength went up. It's very straightforward, but it's a distraction.
See, their strength went up because they got bigger. Their strength didn't go up because they got better at lifting a heavy weight. You understand me? Against gravity, they got stronger because they got bigger. And how did they get bigger? Eccentric work. See, Blaha can't admit it to you because, man, he can't admit it. Man, I told you, his whole practice here would just be destroyed.
Right? The programming on the main lift is usually a distraction. It's the fact that you gained muscle while still lifting.
None of you even know what the fuck he's talking about. He's talking in this video, but none of you understand. Until I, of course, react to this video and explain it to you.
Heavy. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that.
Yeah, if it wasn't for me, you would never understand what the fuck this guy was talking about. Hypertrophy, they had you distracted and all this kind of stuff, and then you ended up bigger, and then you were stronger all of a sudden, magically, out of these magic powers. See you in the next one. Ciao, friends.